With Baker Mayfield on the trade block, what do you think is the best case scenario for him going into next season?
Dude, I don't know, man. We were talking about this off stream, off recording, off air, whatever you want to call it. It's difficult. I mean, what teams are really available that are looking for a quarterback that are competitive? Seattle's leading the way right now. I mean, Carolina was interested at one point, but I don't know what's happening there. And to be honest with you, I don't necessarily know of another situation to where Baker's going to go in and make them competitive. Um, Seattle's got great offensive weapons, but they have a horrible offensive line. Obviously, Seattle also has brought back Rashad Penny, who had over 500 yards, if not over 600 yards in about 4 or 5 games. So, I mean, they have talent in the backfield, but that defense, we don't really have anything going for it over there. They just released Dunlap. Jamal Adams is seeking a trade. I mean, he's going into another dumpster fire. Not that Cleveland was one, but the way that that situation was kind of handled, I believe that Baker Mayfield has a bad taste left in his mouth. But Kyle and I have also mentioned it. He's a little soft for that. He kind of took that one a little softly, kind of like a child. He took that in a very sensitive manner, and that really does reflect how Baker is. I mean, multiple sportscasters said that Baker Mayfield is known for being a tad bit over emotional, a tad bit immature, and that is one big reason why the Colts weren't able to go. Excuse me, not weren't able. The Colts weren't interested in going after Baker, despite the rumors. Um, I don't necessarily know what's going to happen there, man. I'm conflicted. I think Seattle's just the best situation, especially because they're the team that's given him the most interest from the most recent reports. Um, we got to see what happens with Baker recovering off of that non-throwing shoulder recovery. We have to see what happens with how Baker is going to be able to mature or kind of, I guess, be better at adulting. I don't know. The reports are surfacing all over the place that Baker has just acted relatively childish throughout this entire process over the last couple of days. So whoever does acquire Baker could be acquiring a little bit of a diva, a head case. And granted, he was a former number one overall pick. So even if they do acquire him, unless they extend him, it's a 1 year trial and error, and then they just say goodbye. And I don't really know where Baker's going to end up, man, because Baker had a pretty good situation out there in Cleveland, and he may have butchered it. Granted, he had a couple of different head coaches in his what entire NFL career. I think he had 3 or 4 head coaches, which doesn't normally it doesn't add up to success. But with what Baker had, you would have assumed he would have had a kind of like a better result or a better career so far. And he's kind of just disappointed, man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't really have a lot of faith in Baker, even if he has given weapons like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I just don't see it working out if he does end up going to Seattle. But if I had to pick a team, I think Seattle is more than likely going to be the team that goes and kind of kicks the tires and says what can you lose and see what's available within Baker Mayfield's remaining career.
Yeah, but I'm really kind of struggling to kind of just figure out like some decent options for Baker at this point because I mean, clearly his tenure with the Browns is going to come to an end. It's just a matter of when the trade is going to go through and where's he going to go. I mean, I'm with you on the possibility of him going to Seattle. I think that's one that's definitely going to generate a lot of rumors. Could potentially they could potentially work out a trade within the next couple of weeks or so. But I'm looking across the landscape of the NFL. I think really kind of like the only place that I can kind of think of, like in the NFC outside of Seattle, is maybe like Detroit. I I know they have Jared Goff in Detroit, but I mean, would it really make that much of a difference? Jared Goff would be holding a clipboard if they made that trade. I don't really see that working out in the long run. I mean, to kick it over to the AFC, I mean, maybe Pittsburgh, but there's no way that you're going to have a team trade within the same division of each other. It's just not going to work out. Maybe the Jets might be an option, but I just know that they re-signed. I think they re-signed
Oh,
Joe
Flacco.
Flacco, and um, they have Zach Wilson as well in the fold there. So I don't really see how Baker would fit into that equation. So I think overall, I'm kind of drawing blanks on this one. Outside of Seattle, I think Seattle is really kind of the only place that I could see him going to. But Seattle's in full rebuild at this point. They traded Russell Wilson. There are multiple players asking for a trade out of Seattle at this current moment in time. It just doesn't seem like that's the place where Baker's going to go and really thrive at this point. And, when I look at Baker Mayfield throughout his entire career so far, Last year was a down year, and I think it was by and large due to the fact that he was hurt. But we're only a couple of years removed from him propelling the Browns to a playoff appearance just a couple of years ago. But granted, it's definitely soured since then. But I do think that Baker, if he's in the right environment, I do think that he could be able to produce at a decent clip. But he has to be healthy, and he's got to be in a situation where his offensive line protects him, and he's got a decent amount of guys to be able to throw to, or the offense can find ways to produce when he's not the focal point of the offense. It's just looking across the landscape of the NFL, I'm really struggling to find a decent situation for him to land in outside of Seattle. And with the ones that I brought up with Detroit, the Jets, and the Steelers, I just don't think that those are going to work out in the long run. So Baker's really limited on options here. And I just don't think it's going to work out in the long run for him. I think I think he may get traded to Seattle, but I don't know how much longer Baker's going to be a starting quarterback in the league. He may be a starting quarterback for the next couple years or so, but there's a very real chance that within the next couple years, Baker could be holding a clipboard and he might be a backup. That's definitely something that I think Baker may actually have to consider if the situations do not turn out in his way within the next couple years or so. But yeah, if I had to put any sort of money on it right now, it would probably be Seattle because I just don't really see a lot of options for him to go to outside of that. But it's kind of unfortunate. Didn't help that he got hurt last year. But man, get the shaft when Deshaun Watson came in. I know Baker's kind of definitely salty about that, but he could use that as motivation. He could use that as fuel if he gets signed or if he gets traded to a new team, excuse me, going into next season. But it's not a rosy picture for Baker at this current moment. It's just how I see it.